So I was reading a little bit about the birth of information theory and cybernetics in the 50s and 60s, and I ran across some interesting quotes. Ashby, in a book he published in 1956, said that cybernetics might be defined as the study of systems that are open to energy but closed to information and control, systems that are information tight. But Norbert Weiner, who was one of Ashby's colleagues in the cybernetics field, said that when I compare the living organism with a machine, I do not for a moment mean that the specific physical, chemical, and spiritual process of life as we ordinarily know it are the same as those of life imitating machines. So he's saying there's clearly a distinction between the models that I build and the actual experience of life that we all share. Whereas others have not wanted to recognize that distinction. And certainly cybernetics and information theory are powerful. They allow us to build technologies which are amazingly efficient at exchanging information. And because they're so efficient, it seems almost as though we actually might be able to make them conscious, aware of the information that they are exchanging. And I don't even necessarily disagree that this is possible. I mean, as a pan-experientialist, obviously I can't sit there and say there's no experience going on in that computer. But the question is, how does that experience arrive there? Is it a product of the physical exchanges of electricity going on, electricity and magnetism going on in this circuit board? Or are they the process enveloping that circuit board, which includes me and you, the rest of the physical world around it? Is consciousness a product of substances, individual objects like computer circuit boards or brains or nervous systems inside organisms, or is it something that the whole organism environment field or object environment field is doing? Because if we take the pan-experientialist perspective, it would be more of a change in our experience as human beings that allowed artificial intelligence to succeed than it would be artificial intelligence actually succeeding in creating consciousness inside a computer chip. See, the computer will become conscious when we, as an intersubjective community of thinking subjects and feeling subjects, admit it into our circle. When we begin to communicate with our computers with just as much ease as we communicate with one another. Or maybe, see, like we're doing right now, communicating on YouTube, there's obviously information that travels from here through the circuitry in this computer as a digital code and gets sent across oceans at the speed of light to others who then have it recreated for them on a screen and some speakers, and then experience it as another conscious moment for them. So some communication has occurred of this conscious moment through a digital medium to another conscious moment on the other end. So yeah, the computers and us together right now are conscious. Just like, when you have an individual human being and you talk about them having their own consciousness, what you're really talking about is their collection of trillions of cells having their own relationship of experiences with one another, with their surrounding environment as well. And if you take an individual neuron, well, how is it conscious on its own? Well, it's not. Its consciousness is an emergent property of all the molecules and proteins that are vibrating within it. And the molecules' experience is a product of the atoms vibrating within them, and the atoms are a product of the quarks vibrating within, electrons vibrating within and around them, and so on, maybe down to vibrating filaments of energy at such microscopic levels. It's like 10 to the negative 30th power or something. That could all be going on, but it's all experience growing from an original feeling towards something more phenomenal, a deeper sense of experience, more complex sense, a more intense and enjoyable sense, more painful too as a result, but you know, it's all been done because up to that point it had been enjoyable. I mean, I'm talking about the emergence of consciousness through matter, as matter, into more complex levels of experience. So consciousness is always a product of a relationship between bodies. It's not a product of individual bodies, because individual bodies are really a relationship of smaller bodies, which aren't individuals either. They're, a relationship of even smaller bodies, and it just keeps going. Reality is relationship, and out of relationship emerge these sectors or concrescences of experience where multiple unities will bind together to intensify their collective experience. Just as human beings form cultures by learning and sharing the same language, and it binds us together into a higher order of consciousness. If we all speak the same language, we're all sharing the same message. If Marshall McLuhan is right that the medium is the message. Only by speaking the same language can the planet act as a whole. Can humanity understand its planetary role? So, we've gone from artificial intelligence to planetary consciousness. Artificial intelligence being what has allowed, or what is allowing, or hopefully will allow to emerge a planetary consciousness. So, I'm not exactly a proponent of strong AI, but I think strong AI is a result of planetary consciousness. I'm a proponent of the latter, but the former seems to follow necessarily in a different sense. Again, I'm seeing consciousness as something that's relational, that exists throughout this dynamic process of organism, environment, other organism relating, rather than something contained in certain substances like the brain or the hard drive or information. It's more distributed than that. It's the network that's conscious, the network, and not only of these neurons, but of these neurons with these circuits, with the neurons that perceive it on the other end of the medium. That's what's conscious, ultimately. And maybe now it's like, so what? Or maybe it's like, it elucidates a lot. Maybe, I don't know. You tell me. I think it elucidates a lot for me to think of it in this way. It changes a lot, certainly, about not only what I think, but about what I am compelled to do in the world. Not feeling as though I'm an individual unit, but part of a collective with its own purposes, with its own intentions. I no longer feel like a separate substance. I'm part of the substance of reality itself.